You have the cap space, Terry. Right? I believe it's 44.6 million. He's going to be a threat in transition. He's going to be a threat in the paint to an extent. He'll be able to run the pick and roll with Cade and whoever else is handling the ball.
Cold-blooded scorer. My job is to score 20 points tonight. To hell with everything else. I think Miles Bridges can be that guy.
Miles Bridges to the Detroit Pistons after the draft, beginning to heat up. A friend of his on Instagram posted a cool photo of him and Miles Bridges, I think, at the club. And it went along the lines, the caption did something along the lines of, all right, if Charlotte doesn't give us the bag, we're just going to head over to Detroit. Now, how much you want me to believe this friend, I think is irrelevant. But you have the cap space, Terry. Right? I believe it's 44.6 million. You can't have Ayton and Bagley. So my question to you is, would you rather have DeAndre Ayton by himself, along with a few role players that are veterans, or would you prefer Miles Bridges, Marvin Bagley, and a few role players?
I'm going Bridges, Bagley, roll. I like having at least one guy, and probably two, but you can only probably have one, that's just cold-blooded scorer. My job is to score 20 points tonight. To hell with everything else. I think Miles Bridges can be that guy, and that's what I like. That's why even though and I'm talking about from the small forward or power forward position. The one thing I did not like about the 2004 Pistons is the small forward position didn't get much scoring. Tayshaun Prince, great, very good defender. He played his role, but I like that position where that guy's capable of scoring 30 points some nights if he needs to be.
Yeah, I don't think that player was available in the draft, and I think who your three is going to be, because it's no longer the small forward, right? You basically have four guards / wings at any point on the court, and then maybe a big body. So the three likely will be Sadiq Bey or Jaden Ivey this year, and you're going to get scoring from both of them, no doubts. Miles Bridges, I want to say, is 6'7", not your traditional power forward, but he's an athletic forward that I could run, I wouldn't say an effective pick and roll, but he's going to be a threat in transition. He's going to be a threat in the paint to an extent. He'll be able to run the pick and roll with Cade and whoever else is handling the ball. But I want you to picture this, Terry.
Close my eyes.
I want you to picture a lineup where you have Cade at the point, Sadiq and Jaden Ivey at the 2 and 3. Miles Bridges at the 4, Jalen Duren at the 5. Not Isaiah Stewart, because Isaiah Stewart is undersized. I get all that length in Duren at the 5, along with the 4 guys that you want to call it small ball, be my guest. Those are my 4. Along with a rim protector, a shot blocker, a guy that can run the pick and roll, get me rebounds. That solves a lot. And I look at him as a possibly higher upside offensively than Robert Williams. Can he be the menace that Robert Williams is defensively? I hope. That would be fantastic. But that's your best case scenario with Jalen Duren. Can he be that? And if he is, that 5 on the court, I mean, you're looking at maybe the top 6-7 teams in the East. You could make the case are better than them this year and maybe next year. But 3-4 years from now, that's a problem. That team is a problem. And Miles Bridges, yes, relies on his athleticism. Is it ideal? No. But you have Bagley coming off the bench, Stewart coming off the bench, Killian Hayes, Isaiah Livers. You are suddenly 8, 9, 10 deep instead of 6, 7. And I think that's a big deal. Whether or not you want to spend the money, by the way, on Bridges, maybe not. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want to keep the money and you wait till next year and you just add some veteran pieces just to get you by this year. Okay, fine. But are we on the same understanding, Terry? This is going to take 4 to 5 years before they're contending in the East?
I think I bumped it up to 3.
3.
Because, once again, I believe Troy Weaver has something up his sleeve. You know, for next year, the year after. And so he might be able to pump it up a little bit quicker. But, it's probably 3 to 4 years. It makes sense.
The 3-year model, I have to say, although I don't see it happening, you know who else had a 3-year model, Terry?
Who?
Boston Celtics.
Okay.
They've made the playoffs every year that Tatum's been in the league. The first 2 years, he was 13 a night, 15 a night, and then 23. Year 3, he popped off. Year 3 in the playoffs, they got all the way. They played 17 games. Eastern Conference's first year, I believe. Kyrie comes, they totally collapse. And then they get back, I want to say, to the Eastern Conference final again in year 3. Granted, Boston, different situation, much more talented team. They had a much more talented roster. But I won't call you crazy for saying 3 years. I'm more comfortable with 4 or 5. There's so many other players that just need to develop. I think that's another problem. It's such a young team. Boston was very well balanced. They had Al Horford. They had players that you could rely on any night when your young guys were off. Get you 22, 24 a night. Get you through the fourth quarter. Get you through those stretches where a team's on a 10-2 run, 14-0 run, you're losing your lead, and then there's that one guy that can just hit a bucket that calms everybody down, and you go back to playing basketball.
Who's to say Weaver won't get that guy? Because he basically shocks this roster every year.
Well, he's not here right now, and until he is, it's tough for me to say 3 years.
You got to.
But I wouldn't put it past.
You got to look ahead. You got to project.
Point, Terry. That is a fair point.
Oh, the other thing we were talking about how the college game is different than the NBA game. Do you know what Indiana Pacer fans were angry about in 1987?
What's that?
They wanted to protest. They weren't going to go to games anymore.
What the hell happened?
They drafted Reggie Miller instead of Steve Alford.
Yeah, I think they regret
right.
riding on that one.
But that shows, Alford was a guy who could shoot, but he couldn't create his own shot. Reggie Miller was a player. But it was so egregious. I mean, Pacer fans just protested because they thought Alford was going to be that guy that's going to.
Yeah, everybody misses. We're all wrong every once in a while. It's okay to be wrong. Right, Maddie?
Nope.
No? It's not okay to be wrong?
When's the last time Maddie was wrong?
Never.